today on Foul Play Outdoors, we make that happen. And it's about frickin' time. Here's today's project. We got to get this water over that hill and through those woods. Right over that little rise there, if you can kind of see it in the distance past the four-wheeler, about 40 or 50 yards. That's kind of where the duck blind is, right over there. What has happened is, again, I'm going to mention Hurricane Debbie because she really just screwed us, to be blunt about it, this season. Last year and in previous seasons, where I'm standing now might have been knee-deep water, actually. This is the main creek I'm standing on. You can see how the water ends right up there. Right past where you see the water end, about 30 feet, it kicks to the left, and right over there is where that beaver dam is that holds water in the big hole. Well, it's gone. Right on down here, down the creek behind you, about 100 yards, is where this big dam is. I guess about every 10 or 12 years or so, we get a big enough hurricane that blows it out, which happened. It happened several years ago. It happened again this year, obviously with Debbie. And here's a neat little thing here. I was afraid all of our beavers had left town, but then I came in here today and I saw this. Let me see if I can pick this up without getting too wet. We got beaver activity. This is very good to see here, and I can see there's a bunch actually. There's a dozen or more little sticks like this. You know, beavers eat tree bark. I don't see where they've cut any fresh trees down, but this is good to see. That's the first sign of beaver activity I've seen since Debbie. So I know we have beavers somewhere. So maybe they will repair that dam. It's not going to be this year. I'm sure it'll take them a while. They don't seem to. I'm not an expert in that kind of beaver, and it seems that it takes them, or they don't work on dams much in the winter. So, but it looks like they are starting. They're at least eating. So I'll be on the lookout now for fresh trees that they've cut down. Like I said, I haven't seen any yet, but fingers crossed. Well, obviously there's still beavers in the area. So what are we going to do? How are we going to get water up over the hill? Well, thanks to our good friends at Amazon, they were kind enough to take our money, and this is 100 feet of 3-inch discharge hose, as they call it. It's got the 3-inch NPT fittings on it, just like the brand new spanking pump that the boys and I just bought a few days ago because the old pump was locked up. Same exact thing. I have improved how the fuel tank goes on there. That's just a couple of pieces of 5/4 decking that I screwed to the top of the pump, and I'm holding it on with a bungee cord. That's better than what I had before. That'll be a little bit more secure and also deflect heat from the muffler just a little bit. I know from setting a can on it last year, really doesn't put that much heat up in that area, but hey, it doesn't hurt my feelings to have a little bit more protection. So I'm going to set you down. I'm going to drag this pump down the hill, get it set up, and start dragging hose over the hill. I've got, like I said, 100 feet there. I already had 50 feet. And then I bought another brand new 25-foot hose when I got the pump. So in all total, we've got 125 feet of brand new hose plus 50. We've got 175 feet. The old stuff has been sitting in the woods since last duck season. I did that with it last year. It didn't hurt anything. Not the right way to do it, for sure, but we'll see. So I'm going to set you guys down, and I'm going to get to work on dragging this pump down there and get her all set up. So sit back and enjoy the show. All right, we got the hose laid. Let's go gas up the pump and see if we can get some water flowing. Alrighty, for those of you that are new to the channel, let's go over my version of an extended runtime trash pump. So what this is your basic Harbor Freight 3-inch, I think they claim 290 gallons per minute, which works out to I think 17,000 gallons an hour. Just their 3-inch trash pump. They are currently going for $399.99. I think the last one I bought was $100 cheaper. I used it for 3 years and I let it get flooded out multiple times and then let it sit and rust up, which is just stupid, right? That's the only explanation I can give you on that. Last season it was acted like it was still running, ran great. Seemed like the pump might have been giving out. The last time I tried to use it, it ran fine, but it wouldn't suck water. And it was starting to get finicky about being level and upright and everything. So it has gone to where dead water pumps go. And we got this one. So to get good runtime, this comes with a 0.9 gallon fuel tank, which gets about an hour and 45 minutes of wide open throttle. When you're trying to flood an acre to 12 to 18 inches, that takes a while. One tank full doesn't even make a difference, visible difference. So what I've done is I came up with a way to add a 5 gallon can, and this is really pretty easy, honestly. I took the fuel tank off, and then you can see I've got a fuel filter here. This is the existing fuel line to the carburetor. A fuel filter here, which has a little bit of gas in it from sloshing it around. Got some fuel line from local auto parts store. I got this little shut-off valve here that basically you just drill a hole in the can, press in this grommet, and make sure your hole's not too big. Press in that grommet, and then that presses into that, and it's just a kind of a friction fit, if you will, and it holds up just fine. It has a little strainer in it as well, so that you trap any trash that might get in there. And then up under here, you got to make sure that you cut some kind of a hole, because air has to come in. As the gasoline flows out, air has to go in, or you just create a little vacuum in there, it stops flowing. So I got that taken care of. Last year, I just set this on top of it. It would fit in between these rails, and did just fine, but I thought, I can real quickly make this a little more secure, so I added just a couple of pieces of 5/4 decking, cut them to about 18 inches, which is the overall width. Drilled some holes, shot a couple of sheet metal screws in there. Bob's your uncle, we're in business. So this is really all it is. And this runs, I think, somewhere between 8 to 10 hours, depending on throttle setting. I don't run it wide open. Sure, I'm going to get the most gallons per minute, but I think if you back the throttle down a little bit, water flow slows down just a little bit, but I think at a lower rate maybe than gas consumption, right? So I think I get a little bit longer time out of a tank, or longer time, more water on the same amount of gasoline. Do I have anything to back that up? Absolutely not. It just kind of sounded about right. I think I did a little bit of digging around online, and some other people said, who maybe had put a little bit more effort into measuring than I have, said, yeah, that actually works. Also, you're not running your pump wide open for 8 hours straight. That's got to be less wear and tear on the engine. It can't hurt things. Doesn't make as much noise because there is a little campground. My buddy actually has a place over there. There's kind of a little campground area over there. And I don't anticipate there being any problems, but making this just a little bit quieter is not a bad thing. So let's get her gassed up and primed up, and let's see if it works. Alrighty. All right, Rosie, move out of the camera. Come on, come here. There you go, good girl. All right, got it gassed up. It's time to prime it. Pretty simple process, and you don't have to be neat about it at all, I have found. So there's this little plastic cap on the top. Don't lose that, because it won't work without it. Get your handy dandy 5-gallon bucket, which every good duck hunter should have. And get some water. I think really it only takes about a gallon. This housing, pump housing, doesn't hold a ton. And try to get most of it in the hole. If you don't get all of it in the hole, then as you see, if it runs everywhere, not a problem. Trying to get enough in there to prime the pump. It'll create some suction. And I have found you really only need to do this. This pump housing will hold water in it for a pretty long time. So like we'll be out here tomorrow to pump again. It'll take 3 or 4 trips out here, but won't need to do this every time. Come out here tomorrow, probably start the pump, and it should immediately start pumping water. So it's not an every time thing, just like if you've had to move it and it lost prime, or you know, something, or if it sat, you know, if it sat for a week, I would probably try it again. But I'd come out here certainly next day, maybe a couple days. It's gonna hold a prime just fine. So, process for starting this is your basic, simple small engine, lawnmower-esque kind of thing. It's got a kill switch here, flip that to on. I'm not gonna pick you up and show these controls, but it has, I am gonna put my glasses on so I can see them. It has a fuel shut off, that is to the on position. It's choke, run, and start, and it has a throttle. I don't start it at wide open, I take it a little off idle to start it. Boom. Crank it up just a little bit. Oh, don't do that. You a little cold nature today? Oh, remember that shut-off valve? Turn that on. Close it up again. Quieter than the last one. Starting to suck in water down there, or not started in. Those leaves will probably get sucked in, but it won't be enough to completely clog it, and it'll probably just rip right through them. Let's go check out the other end. Yay! We're pumping water. All right, she's trickling into the duck hole. About 3 weeks too late. You know what I had said a minute ago, that I like to turn it down, turn the throttle down a little bit? I may go look at it. I've never had to pump it this far, 175 feet of hose. Most I've ever done is 50. And I've never pumped it up over a hill. I've always just had the pump right here, and it had to lift it 2 or 3 feet maybe, or push it, not lifting it, not sucking it, pushing it over a hill. I may leave it wide open just because it's gonna have to work harder to push this water. So we're trickling in. This will run all day pretty much. It's like 9 or 10 o'clock now, I think. It'll run all day, and come back out tomorrow. Either I will come out here tomorrow, or one of the other guys, Tom or something. But yeah, 3 or 4 days in a row, and we'll have water. So as that's running, let's step over here. Let me show you what we have done with the dam. Well, we're hoping that'll hold. All the river flooded in here 6 times this summer. We usually get 1, 6 times. We had dug it out to drain it, and then just kind of always put off putting it back. Well, if you do this, refill it as soon as you can. Don't wait. Gives that dirt plenty of time. It sure would have been nice if it would have had all summer to pack in, but every time I started packing it in, it flooded and washed it back out. So we got 2 yards of dirt. Actually, there's about 1.5 yards, maybe a little more than that in here. And it's the first yard was good, decent clay. Had a lot of clay. This is some of the last stuff, and I think this is crap. I mean, it does clot up, but there feels like there's a lot of sand. Most of that went into these sandbags. Why are the sandbags here? The sandbags here are basically just to armor what we're doing here. Kind of show up the backside and weight it down. If we do get some overtopping, and I'm sure we will, right? Hurricane season's not over. I wouldn't be surprised if it floods at least one more time this season. Anyway, that'll just kind of help fight erosion a little bit, and you know, maybe not wash us all away. It sure would be nice if the whole thing was covered in that, but this was already 2 days of work. I mean, the guys came out in a couple of shifts to do this. These are really firm. I really like how solid they pack in. I don't think they alone would completely hold water, but they certainly do a good job, I think, like I said, of just kind of protecting the top. This has gone down a little bit. I don't know if it's leaking through. It may be. I don't see any movement. Might be seeping through. May have just been evaporation. Couldn't tell you. But you know, if it only drops an inch or two every week or so, we can always come back out here and run this. This at full pool really does hold more water than we really need. You know, what we have in here, wood ducks. If you think about the anatomy of a duck, they tip up. Dabblers, wood ducks, mallards, you know, those kinds of ducks, they tip up to feed. Their food is typically at the bottom. If he can only reach 12 inches down underwater, having 24 inches of water in here, he can't feed in that, right? Maybe he can feed around the edges, but he can't feed in the center. So really, all you need is about shin deep water. And the way this hole is, it slopes up pretty quickly. Adding a foot of water doesn't add much area to this. So we'll get it to where, you know, shin deep or so, maybe a little more, almost knee deep out in the middle. And that's really all we need to hunt a duck in here. So we got that going. And I need to make sure that those pipes are secure. One of them is not tied off because I don't want it to fall down and drain all my water out. So I'm gonna work on that, and then I'm gonna take you up and show you progress on our duck blind. Look at this. All right, Rosie's got water to run in. It's already starting to trickle in. Yay. All right, so you can see in the distance our shipping pallet duck blind. You know, shipping pallets you can typically get for free. We got all these for free. The ones on the back, Nate got those where he was working last year. He was working for a construction company. So I actually set them out right over here and shot some ducks behind them. And the rest of them Tom picked up somewhere. Now they were a nice, pretty bright blue color. And if you know anything about duck hunting, you know you don't want anything to be blue. But got a couple gallons of cheap paint. I say cheap. The cheapest paint that they had at Home Depot was like $35 a gallon. I don't know anything about painting, but that seems steep. Anyway, we got 2 gallons of cheap, flat exterior paint. Got them a nice dirt brown color. I painted it some at home, and then Tom and I finished it out here. Got some flat black and flat tan. I would have preferred a darker gray to the tan because the tan's a little bright. Just to hit little other spots, and we'll leave those cans of spray paint in the blind. Still have, obviously we want to put some brush in. We're going to work on that this week, and a top of some sort, while not 100% necessary because we already have pretty good natural top cover. Would be nice, and we may work on that this week as well as time and funds allow. But step up into it now. You guys saw in an earlier video, we built a frame, treated 2x6. Yeah, treated 2x6s. It was supposed to have your basic 5/4 decking. Tom picked the stuff up. Thank you very much, Tom. And I told him to get the wrong stuff. This is an actual kind of 1-inch board. They are treated. It's a little spongy, and we only did joists every 2 feet. It's a duck blind. It's not a house. So they've got a little give to them, but we don't square dance often, so I don't think it's going to be an issue. It is 16 feet wide by 6 feet deep. I do plan on having about a 4-foot roof. just high enough where when you sit down, it's right over your head, and stand up to shoot. You could probably put, did I say 16 feet? You could probably hunt 6 guys out of this, but there's not enough ducks here to hunt 6 guys. But I thought, you know, all 4 of us, and Nate, he wants to bring his cousin Ethan. If we all wanted to pile in here, Scott, my buddy Nate's dad, you know, there'd be room for us. So this is what we got in the meantime. Get her brushed in some, get a little roof on it, and shoot a duck, hopefully. So let me sit you down and I'll kind of wrap this up. All right, season comes in November 9th. We actually had 3 days last weekend. I didn't come because mud. Nate and a couple of his buddies actually did hunt the river, shot a couple of wood ducks, said he saw a bunch of ducks up high, heard some mallards. I saw wood ducks on the river as I drove across the day. Ducks are in the area. We saw ducks during dove season as well. I had a mallard fly right up, could have shot him, had a mallard fly right over me. What are my projections? I was fired up until Debbie took out my millet. Now we have a mud flat. We have some millet. I threw some Japanese millet out after that. I think armyworms ate it. I think I still have some of the original millet that survived somehow. Some of this is definitely Chihuahua millet because it has a real thick stalk and a bigger seed head than Jap millet. We've got behind you, there is some smartweed. It never does really well because it stays shaded. And down there, all the way at the end, which you can't see right now, trust me, there is some smartweed as well that looks like it's doing very well. I saw a lot of pink flowers just a second ago while I was down there. So we'll shoot a wood duck. I mean, I shot a wood duck in here before I had done anything. All I did was just walk down here one day and stand there, and I shot a wood duck. We'll shoot a wood duck. Well, almost certainly. I'll be surprised if we don't shoot a wood duck. They've been coming here forever. Will we get into anything else? You never can know. You never can tell. Got real close to shooting mallards last season, and honestly, I don't think they were really coming to my rice very well. So who knows? Maybe all I need is water, and they will come in here. Trail cameras, I did see mallards in here during and after the season. Who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky. They're predicting, well, we still don't know for sure, long-term forecast, what our winter's going to be. I was just listening to the Foul Weather podcast, Dr. Mike Schumer. Absolutely go subscribe to that podcast and listen to it. He gave a little bit. It's too early. He doesn't want to give a firm long-term forecast, but we have a weak polar vortex right now, which means it is prone to disruptions, and disruptions in the polar vortex is what can cause the jet stream to fluctuate and kick some cold air down here to us. He said it might be cold up north, but might not get very cold in the south. Well, that could bode well for us. If it gets cold enough to kick ducks south and they camp out here, that's not a bad thing. So we'll just have to see. I guess I'm looking forward to it either way. At the very least, we'll drink coffee and tell lies and probably cook breakfast in here and have a good time. So time will tell. You know, we'll be in here in 2 or 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, I think. A little more than 2 weeks. We'll be sitting right here, opening day, crossing our fingers that we shoot a duck, and hopefully you'll be with us when that happens. So that's it for today. Take a minute and hit the old subscribe button at the bottom if you want to see if we do any good in here this season or not. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave me a thumbs up. And leave me a comment as well. Tell me what you think I'm going to do. Am I going to shoot a wood duck? Do we finally shoot a mallard out of this hole this year? Anything other than a wood duck. Man, some green-winged teal come in here. Even a freaking, some divers, blackjacks. Their real name now suddenly escapes me. But anyway, let me know what you think. What do you think we're going to do this season? We're going to have a good season? We're not? Let me know in a comment. As always, I appreciate your time today. Thanks for watching. I'm Bruce. This is Foul Play Outdoors.